Welcome to the No Limit Selling Podcast, where industry leaders share their advice on how you can become better, stronger, faster. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Limit Selling Podcast. And one of the things I love about this show is I get to talk to brilliant people, and my highest value in the world is learning new things. And today we have Connie Whitman with us today, and she has 40 years of experience in selling. Connie, welcome to the program.
Umar, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here, and I know we're going to have a great conversation.
Superb. And I'm going to do a note to the editor right over here. Editor, I screwed up at the beginning, so I'm going to redo it. So start from here. So Connie, act surprised when I do the intro.
You got it. Go ahead.
There you go. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Limit Selling Podcast, where I get to interview amazing people because my highest value is learning new things. And today we have the privilege of having Connie Whitman with us today. She's got 40 years of experience in sales, and some of them I'm sure were like spectacular, and some there's lots of blood, sweat, and tears where we really learn our craft right. Welcome to the show, Connie.
Umar, thank you so much for having me. I really am honored to be here. And you and I have spoken before, so we've got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that's kind of I'm not sure if it's spelt the same way, but Whitman, Walt Whitman is one of my go-to guys for quotes because he had such an amazing life. And one of them is, some people you can't tell them if they don't know. And a lot of times salespeople, people that are great salespeople are always learning. Even if it sounds like something they know, they kind of pick up a nuance. So being in sales requires ego, and sometimes ego gets in the way. So why don't you any insights on that? How do we stay humble and stay learning and always improving?
So that's such a good question. And, my story when I began 40 years ago, I always say sales found me. I didn't realize that I was good at it. I had these natural intuitions about how to communicate with people from this very caring, loving, honest place. And so in a job that I was at, I was selling, but I didn't know I was selling. I felt teaching and caring and loving to help others make more sales. So I know this, let me educate you. You can make more money. Everybody wins. And that's how I ended up getting into sales. Because it was funny. They said to me, you're really good at sales. I'm like, sales? I am? I don't even know what that is. So I think to answer your question, I think I'm humble, and I've always been, and it wasn't about the ego for me that I have to be in sales, make a lot of money and, show people how great I am. I think I always come from this place of love, care, and respect. So it keeps me grounded and it keeps me humble. And the other thing I say all the time when I train or I'm working with my clients, I learn from them every time I'm in their presence, because somebody says something or phrases it and I think, oh, I'm going to steal that. I'll give you credit, but I'm stealing it. That was great. I love how that landed for me, that energy behind it. So I feel like we approach things from curiosity. It keeps us humble, because then I'm not the know-it-all. I'm curious to learn every interaction I have, even with my clients where I'm teaching.
Oh, I love that. And certainly if you want to learn something, teach, because that's where you really get the nuances when you're trying to explain to others. But one of the things you said was, love, care, and respect is what I do. And so here's a few things. When I approach anything from playing squash to doing a sales appointment to meeting a stranger, if I come at it from a place of love, it just changes the interaction, makes me more patient. I'm looking for the good. It just, in so many ways, it works. Caring, of course, is critically important, because people feel that when you really care about them, when you're trying to sell them something, I'm going to make sure you buy this, Connie. And there's an intent. Even though I use nice language, you can pick it up.
Absolutely.
And I think that last part oftentimes is just a throwaway line. But if you can go deeper into that, the respect part, because I think is huge. And why do you think it's huge? Why is respect such an important part of sales?
Because first of all, we have to respect ourselves and the genius that we do bring to the table and honor it. And I find many times people go and try to sell, whether it's a business owner and they're trying to sell their product, services, whatever it might be. and they feel, well, I shouldn't charge for that. Oh, they can't afford it. You have to find the ideal client who can afford you, because you should get rewarded, paid, right? And money is nothing more than an energy exchange, so that I'm really truly helping those that need my help, right? My ideal client.
Mhm.
I think if we have self-respect, it really has to start there. And then the second piece of that is everybody you meet, you're not better than them. You're not worse than them. You're not higher than them. You're not lower than them. They are equals to you, no matter what they do in their life or their world or their business or career. So I think if we approach it as we are all one, that level of
Mhm.
respect kind of always there. And I'll share, I know where I got that from. This has been, and it's funny because people that meet me, if I say to them, because sometimes you ask, right? You're curious, pick one word to describe me. And respect is often the word. Curious is the other
Mhm.
one. Curious and respect are the two words, I think, and friendly. But those are the big words that are odd, right? Friendly, everybody's friendly, or everybody's an introvert. But to hear that caring, respect, friendly, all of those, I think, keep us humble as well. And then I learned respect from, and it's interesting, my dad came from Italy. And I remember as
Mhm.
a little girl, he would say to us, you have to look in the mirror and love yourself. And I used to think, oh,
Mhm.
he's so egotistical. He was a good looking man, right? But I thought, oh, he's so egotistical. Well, then you become a parent. And I learned that you have to have self respect. Otherwise, people will step on you. You'll allow people to step on you. So start with respect, but then honor those that are in front of you as well. And I think that's where the respect comes from. So it's deep rooted within me for sure.
Nice. Three things there. Number one, oftentimes I'll say in a workshop, my highest wish for you is that you fall in love with yourself. Uh,
Lovely.
and you'd mentioned, respecting yourself first is the most important, and I think it is. The second thing that came up was uh, oftentimes salespeople equate. There's a term from the Talmud that basically says something like, "We do not see the universe as it is; we see it as we are." And oftentimes, as salespeople, we go, "Oh, they can't afford that." How do you know? What gives you the right to determine what they can buy and not buy? And
Okay.
oftentimes we do this because we just look at their appearance, or it's our own self-worth dictates, well, I can't charge that much. When the reality is we're in the business of solving problems.
For
And if you
sure.
respect yourself and you respect the other person, that creates a bridge, and that lets the customer, remove some of the filters that we normally have to protect ourselves. And then they tell you what's really going on. And from that, you can go, huh, let me show you a way to solve that. And does this make sense to you? And what you're giving them is something of, if it's of high enough value, they'll pay for it. And you said it was an exchange of energy, money. And that's a good example of that is, oh, I helped you uncover a really big problem. And sometimes somebody thinks that this is my problem. And when you actually ask them a few questions, they realize, oh my God, it's this big. And then you say, I can help you solve that. That'll make your life so much easier. And then I'm more than happy to pay you to make that problem go away, because they could make it go away themselves probably in 3 years. But with you, we can let go of that next week and move on with our company and start making money and not. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. Respect yourself, and then don't prejudge other people.
The other thing too with sales, I think we have to remember that if someone is struggling with, and you fill in the blank, right, with it, whatever it is you're selling, service, pot, product, doesn't matter. So if somebody is struggling and you come in and can relieve that angst, that stress, that situation, what is the cost? And I think we forget to turn things into value for the client, which is, what
Mm,
is this costing you? It could be costing them their health. If they're working extra, maybe you're a VA, right? You bring VAs to the table. They think they have to do it alone and work 90 hours a week. So they're
mm.
forfeiting their health, right? Could it be that they're spending so much money on things that potentially they don't need, or machinery is breaking down, or, right, fill in the blank again, whatever
Oh,
it is
yeah.
that the issue is. Now you come in and you solve that problem. There's always a return on the investment, whether it be time, money, again, energy, health. But what are you solving that creates that amp up of good, right? Of good health, of financial stability, lower costs, more income, whatever it might be. And I think we forget that we are the solution provider, and we go in thinking, oh, like you said, they don't have the money. They're not going to like me. They're not going to want me. We all have that negative record player. And I think if we come from love, care, and respect, you'll never do the wrong thing.
Absolutely. I think it's that intent is such like an important thing. And that's what you described. So one of the areas where people have a really tough time is asking for the sale. Like there's lots of data that shows that people will walk around the issue and hope that the customer will take a hint and go, oh, maybe I should buy this. So why do you think that happens? And what's a good strategy to overcome that? So you feel really comfortable saying, hey, let's sell this to you and end your pain and suffering.
So it's just interesting because I have everybody's got a process, right? And there's no judgment from me. Like if you're doing something and it's working, keep on rocking it. Like don't change it because somebody told you to if you're getting the results. But my process happens to be 7 steps. I've used it for 40 years and it works, right? Rinse and repeat, it's good. But here's the thing. Step 6 is the asking for the business. And in my process, it's the easiest piece because if you do step 1 through 5 really, really, really well, when you ask for the business, the client is almost saying to you, well, can we do it today? What's the next step? Do we need another meeting? Do I need to bring my accountant in? Do I need to bring in my CFO? So they're leaning in, ready to go. The asking for the business is, okay, let's schedule the training. I'm going to send you a contract later today. The proposal's been sent. You've negotiated through all that. Now it's just, let's get this party started. So I think if we can get really good in those first 5 steps, that 6th step of asking for the business becomes a non-event. And here's the last thing I want to say about that one, Umar. For me, 3 things happen before we even ask for the business. You say to the client, this is a perfect match. I'm really excited. You are my ideal client, and I'm excited at what we're going to do together, man. This is going to be a rock star, right? And the client, yeah. Buying in 100%. We're together. Second one is I often say, or sometimes say to my client, you've got so many balls in the air and so much going on. You're not ready to bring me in and do the work that you need to do or bring your people in to work. You're still hiring. Let's wait till you hire everybody because then you're piecemealing it. After that, you'll have somebody hired within the next month or 2 in the scheme of things. So you're not ready for me yet. Doesn't mean I'm walking away from the sale. They're still in my loop, my 7 steps. It's just that I'm saying you are not ready to do this because I know it's going to fail. Then they say the training wasn't good or it was a waste of money. So why go down that road and force the square peg in the round hole? You're not ready for me yet. Right. And then the third one is, you know what, Umar, I'm not the right person after getting to know you, understanding your situation. You need to meet my friend Joe. He's the one who can truly help you with that. I have a wonderful network. I vetted them out. They're good, they're fairly priced, and I know they can make a difference for you. And then I do an introduction. Notice I didn't use the word objection because I've done such a good job through my steps 1 through 5 that I never get objections because I either don't ask for the business, you're not ready for me, or we prolong it or whatever it is. But it's a fluid conversation. It's not, sorry, can't help you. Usually I have someone in my network who can.
Right. So let's start. What's step 1 of your process?
Step 1 is preparation. And I think we do not spend enough time in preparation because everybody goes, oh, that's a waste of time. I need to make calls. Okay, make calls. I'm not saying don't. Are they good calls? Are you prepared for your calls? Are they quality calls? What's your return if you're making 100 phone calls? How many appointments are you getting? So making more calls, if you're going in unprepared, your calls are crap. So preparation. I can't emphasize that one enough. And by the way, Umar, preparation goes through all of them. I know you're surprised by that, right?
Right. Shocked.
Right?
So hold on before we go to step 2. So step 1, preparation. So salespeople have typically what I look for is, if I can get 3 interesting things to talk about in terms of something about the company themselves and something that's legitimate and not like, oh, we went to the same school together, which sometimes, it seems a little cheesy. So what trigger events are you looking for in that preparation?
So preparation for me is your time management, your organizational skills. So and I'm not even just talking your desk. When you show up in your briefcase, and especially if we're doing outbound calling
Mm.
and we're going to a client's location, when you pull your stuff out, is everything falling out of your for women purse
Mm.
or our briefcases? You have to go in appearing organized. You should have your questions organized. There should be an agenda. There should be something that you can hand out so the client can, especially if it's a live, not a Zoom. So they have the agenda with you. All of that is part of preparation, as well as knowing your products and services and how
Mm.
to articulate and have good presentation skills and know if you get an objection, what are you going to say? All of that is preparation. There's a lot going
Nice.
on. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So what's step 2?
Step 2 is building rapport. So this is where value statements, your 30-second commercial, elevator speech. The idea, though, and I find this so frequently, Umar, it kind of shocks me when I say to people, write your value statement. Tell me what differentiates you from, because we're all doing the same stuff, right? Sales, we're all teaching some
Mm.
form of sales training, right? Or sales culture building, whatever it is. So what differentiates me from the other vendors or partners that are out there? So what value? And people, sometimes they'll sit there blankly. And I go, what's going on? And they go, there's nothing special about me. What
Mm.
differentiates me? I don't know. And that's not a put down or a judgment. We don't think about it. And it goes back to our first question, the ego. If I say that I'm great at, or I've been doing this for so long, people are going to think I'm an egomaniac. We're taught to be non-braggadocious.
Yeah.
So
Be
when
humble.
be humble, which, yes, we could still be humble in our value statement, but people need to know who they're doing business with. So what is your value statement? That will build rapport really, really quickly.
The other thing it does is that it brings consistency. And your value statement might be crap. And in which case, if you're not getting good results, you talk to Connie and says, oh, we need to tweak that. But if you don't have one and you're saying something different each time, it's hard to figure out what's broken. It's just like a whole mess. So what's number 3?
Number 3 is asking questions that you
What
need
was
to
that?
have.
That was my question. Just kidding.
I know. What's that mean? What question, Connie, do you ask? You should have a set of open-ended questions that bring the client through everything you need to know about whatever your service is, right? So I don't go in and talk about health and fitness. I go in and talk about the ROI. What are their close ratios, right? Who are the employees? What are the skill levels? How many are seasoned? What do the numbers look like? So, but I go in and and Umar, I've been using these same questions for 22 years that I've been in business. It's in an agenda. There's 8 key questions. Now, here's the trick. I'm going to give you the next one, and then we can break it down if you'd like. So step 3 is asking questions. Step 4, I used to have joins with step 3, but about 5 years ago, I realized how important it needed to be standing on its own, and that would be listening skills. So when you ask those rich, prepared, notice prepared again, questions that work and get the client talking about what you need to know to help them, you have to go into active listening. And this is where we ask follow-up questions. Through active listening, we come up with more questions because we're present, we're engaged, we're curious. And now I'm going to ask those follow-up questions that I couldn't have prepared in advance because I need to be in the moment to really hear what's going on with that client. But that active listening allows me to really dig in, fully understand who the client is. And this is the miracle of listening. It allows us to not only, we go in with a specific thing that we think the client might need, which isn't a bad thing. Do not pigeonhole yourself. This is my advice here. So with the listening, you're going to uncover so much more than you even thought possible. So when you do get to making your recommendation or your proposal, it's going to be bigger. So we stop leaving money on the table because we're giving them a more robust solution that, oh, by the way, is so much better for them, and we win as well. So it's that whole law of reciprocity as well. When we show up and do the right thing, oh my goodness, it comes back to us tenfold. So questioning 3, 4, listening, they go together and they're really important.
Absolutely. And when you're listening, if you're doing it well, you can also see their body language. And sometimes they'll answer the question and you'll see a quizzical look. And you can tell, you had a quizzical look. What's going on? Then they'll go, oh, really? This is one of the major issues. So being fully present and watching them as they speak is critical. And what's the next one?
And then step number 5 is presenting your solution. So if you've done a really good job, again, your solution should be quite robust. but it should be spot on. There shouldn't be any extra crap in there because you get commissions on if it's really not going to serve the client. So when I approach my clients, I call it the pantry. I know what I have available. I know all my assets, my programs, how I can pull and combine and customize. So when I present, my solutions are usually very customized for my client. Doesn't mean it has to cost that, because people, customize, it costs more money. No, I have so much stuff created over 40 years. I can pick and choose the right combination for that client, their team, whatever it might be.
Oh, brilliant. And what's the next step?
Asking for the business. So it's like, hey, Omar, let's get
Absolutely.
started. Want to start next week? How many people? Let me send an email with a Zoom link so whatever that next step is for you. But we're moving forward. There's a commitment from the client. There's a commitment from you. And then what is that next step to get it started?
And what is the last step?
Another very important one, follow up. Nobody follows up the way they should. So you should be following up, and depending on your sales cycle, don't badger a client. If it's a longer sales cycle, be respectful in how you show up for them. But we need to follow up. And if a client says no today for numerous reasons, doesn't mean they don't like you, they don't like your solution. Timing might be off. So if we don't follow up, we lost that opportunity down the road, and we've already done the first 6 steps. So why are we walking away from potentially good business? And if I can share one quick story.
Sure.
I had one client, and they kept saying to me, it was a very big bank, happened to be a bank, very big bank in Jersey. You're too small. You're too small. So 5 years, I followed up with them again, maybe maybe 3 times a year, their birthday, the holidays. If I knew something was going on in their bank, I would send an article or comment, but I got to know them personally. So most times we got on, it would be in the summer. They're not looking to hire anybody, right? It's not budget season, but I would say, how's the family? I knew the kids. I knew who was in college, whatever was going on. The 5th year, they had hired 3 other vendors during that period of time, and they were epic fails, and they spent millions of dollars and got nowhere. Reconnect with them, and they were like, could you come in? We just want to talk to you. I'm like, sure, of course, I'll help you any way I can. I go in, within 10 minutes, they realize, why didn't we hire you 5 years ago? And I giggled, and I said, listen, I knew I was the right vendor for you. I was the right partner. You had to go through this, and now you understand the value I bring to the table. Never too late. It's all good. And here's the punchline. So people go, 5 years, like, are you crazy? I worked with them for 15 years. In 2018, they became the #1 bank in New Jersey. That was not solely because of me, but I did contribute. Yes. 15 years. How many millions of dollars did I make over that period of time? Because I ended up training every division within the bank over time. So was it worth that 5 years of follow-up? Oh, I say yes.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people respect that degree of follow-up if it's done in the right way.
Yes, respectfully.
And also in the rapport stage, when you really kind of build that trust, asking people, this is going to be a longer sales cycle. So I want to make sure I serve you well. This is how I follow up. How do you need me to follow up? And so sometimes they'll kind of go, oh yeah, that'll be good. Keep in touch on this level. And setting expectations is really, really important. So when you set expectations and live up to them, it strengthens the relationship and it leads to more sales.
Absolutely. You got to build another trust, Omar, for sure. Yeah.
So let's solve like the biggest problem salespeople have is landing appointments. Connie, if I can just get in front of a customer that, I'm phenomenal, but it's not getting enough of those. So why don't we troubleshoot that in the last few minutes of the podcast? What's some advice you would give of people talking to strangers and getting appointments?
So here's the thing. I believe, again, preparation. So you have to be strategic in whatever that business development looks like for you. So for instance, my people are on LinkedIn. They're corporate clients. They're on LinkedIn. That's where they play. So my profile is good. I post articles. I respond to articles. I've joined groups that I know are relevant to my industry that I want to be working with and people I want to be working in. I actively ask for referrals. So if people like me, I ask for recommendations on LinkedIn. So again, I have built up a fairly robust LinkedIn profile. Does it need work? Sure it does. We all drop the ball. But if so strategically, I spend about 10 to 15 minutes every day, no more than that, on LinkedIn. So that is a strategic for me, but I'm very strategic in how I approach it. The other thing is when I have clients, I always ask them after I have served them and delivered, and they are madly in love with what I do and how I do it and my team that I bring to the table. I will ask them, do you know anybody that's another CEO at another bank or credit union or whatever it is that you can introduce me to, that perhaps I can help them do what we did here?
Love it.
I will get referrals. So, and you go in and I'll tell you honestly, when I get those referrals, the close ratio is probably close to 80, 90%. Again, unless I'm not a good fit, but I'm referring them to someone else as well. So I think we have to be strategic when you do networking. Are you going to the right networking event? Or are you saying, well, I'm busy, I'm going to all these networking events. But if they're not your people, why are you wasting time? So again, that preparation, vetting organizations out, but you have to build your centers of influence, COIs. We have to build our influencers who are going to refer to us on a regular basis. We have to build that while we're building our business, careers, and all those things. You got to be strategic. Now here's the other thing, Omar. I don't believe in cold calling. I did that 40 years ago. I haven't cold called in 35 years, and knock on wood, business is always coming in. So here's the thing. There are some industries that you still need to cold call. So my recommendation, you better get really, really good at those efforts on calling. Make sure you're prepared going in and you know what you're saying. So again, you're very strategic in how you're approaching that client.
Love that. Connie, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. It was always insightful. And how can people find you?
If go to Changing the Sales Game, my website, I have a free communication style assessment there. If they'd like to take that, get 2 reports. One spotlight their natural superpowers, how people are receiving your message, kind of important to know. And then your lowest score is your blind spot. People who communicate opposite of you. There's a report on that as well of how to manage that. Additionally, there's some other resources there. And you have you have a question for me, email me at Connie@changingthesalesgame.com.
Love it. Connie, stay tuned. I'm going to end this show and we'll chat for a few minutes.
You got it. Thank you so much for having me. I hope people found value in it.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're looking for more tools, go to my website at nolimitselling.com. I've got a free mind training course there that's going to teach you some insights from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is the fastest way to get better results.